Hey, welcome back to the Cascade channel. Today we're going to be having a look at Diabolo stick grinds. So this is a kind of easy trick that you can learn if you're just getting started with Diabolo. It's one of the first ones you might want to learn. It feels really satisfying to do and looks pretty cool as well. Okay, so before we get into this tutorial, there's a few things that you're going to need to make sure you've got. One is a Diabolo, two is a decent set of sticks, and you're also going to need to be able to spin a Diabolo pretty comfortably. So if you can't do that yet, I would recommend going back, learning that bit, and then coming and checking out this tutorial again. You're going to need to be able to get it spinning pretty quickly, but if you can do that, then you're ready to learn how to do a stick grind. So in anticipation of a question, can you do this with a bearing axle or a fixed axle Diabolo? The answer is you can do it with both, it doesn't really matter. Today I'm going to be demonstrating it with a bearing Diabolo. I find that because it spins for a bit longer and there's not so much friction on the axle, it's easier to do the stick grinds with, but you'll be able to do it with a fixed axle one just the same. You just won't maybe have it grinding for quite as long, and you might need to get it speeding up a little bit faster before you get into the trick. Okay, to get started with this one, what we're going to need to do is to get the Diabolo spinning nice and fast. So once you've got it up to speed and it's nice and stable, just have that spinning in front of you. I'm going to use my right hand here, but it doesn't really matter whether you use your right hand or left hand. I'm going to position the stick in my right hand at a right angle to my body. So the end of the stick with the string coming out of it is pointing towards the Diabolo. And at this point, you're going to pop the Diabolo up. You don't want to throw it up really high, just a nice little pop so it's about the same height as the stick. And then try and catch the axle on the stick. With the bearing Diabolos, it's going to probably catch a little bit easier here, and you're going to need to angle the stick slightly up or slightly down depending on which way the Diabolo is spinning, so that it doesn't just run up the stick or down the stick. You're going to find this is more pronounced with a fixed axle Diabolo. You're going to need to angle the stick a bit more carefully, but with the bearing ones you can get away with quite a bit more. But that's what you want to be doing to ensure that the Diabolo doesn't run off the sticks and stays there spinning nicely for a little while. So you want to practice that a few times until you can pop it up and catch it on the stick pretty comfortably. Once you've got it spinning on the stick, and if you can manage to control that and keep it steady, what you're going to find is the Diabolo is going to start slowing down. The friction between the axle and the stick is just going to start slowing this Diabolo down. Depending on what kind of Diabolo you're using, this might happen faster or slower, but it will happen eventually. So if you found the Diabolo is starting to slow down, what we're going to have a look at next is how to drop it back onto the string. So when the Diabolo is starting to lose momentum, you want to drop it back onto the string. You want to do this before it's completely lost all momentum. If it slows down too much, you're just going to find it starts to wobble and then it's going to topple off the stick. But before it reaches that point, what you want to do is just have your stick with the Diabolo spinning on it. You're just going to angle it down the way, gently, and because the string is coming out at the end of the stick, the Diabolo should fall nicely back onto the string, and from that point you can carry on. You can get it speeding back up again, or you can carry on with another trick sequence. So I thought I'd just mention here, you can do this with either your right or your left hand, it doesn't really matter. I've demonstrated it here with my right hand, purely because that's the one I'm most comfortable with, but you can do the grind with either hand. It doesn't matter which way the Diabolo is spinning, it's still possible to do that grind. If you're using a fixed axle Diabolo, you're just going to need to tilt your stick the opposite way for your right and your left hand, because one way it's going to be trying to climb up the stick, the other way it's going to be trying to roll off the stick. With the bearing ones, it's a little bit easier, but you can do it with either hand. If you've managed to get this stick grind down, then I'm just going to show you a quick progression that you can move on to if you can get both the right hand and the left hand comfortably grinding. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it sped up. Once we've done that, we're going to pop it up onto the right stick. At this point, I'm going to move my body 90 degrees, and then just with a little throw, I'm just going to throw the Diabolo up and try and catch it on the left-hand stick. And you can actually pass it between the two, so you can go from the left back to the right, and the right back to the left. To get it back down again, I'm going to angle my body back 90 degrees round, and then simply drop it back onto the string. Okay, so there we have it. That's an introduction to stick grinds. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, we'd love it if you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, it really helps us out. There's lots more progression that you can do from the stick grind, so if you've got that comfortably down, then you can play around with further progressions, and we might do another video on that in the future. If you want to get any Diabolo gear, I'll leave a link in the description down below. But that's it for today. See you in the next one.